Hi, I'm Lauren Saidel-Baker, an economist here at ITR Economics, and thank you for joining me today for a quick talk about politics. Now, this is something that we don't typically talk about here at ITR. We are a nonpartisan, apolitical firm, and the reason behind that is that we find the economy just doesn't have a favorite political party. So let's get into that claim a little bit deeper, because on its face, that really surprises a lot of folks. Everyone tends to think one way or another about politics, and the economy is often cited as one of the big reasons that people vote the way they do. So let's not take common sentiment for anything, but let's look into the data itself. This first chart that I'm showing you talks about the political cycle in terms of the timing of election years. Now, we're comparing the timing to GDP, gross domestic product. That's really the broadest view that we can take of the US economy. And what you'll notice at first glance is that there isn't a tight correlation here between those gray shaded election years and a new president coming into the White House. It doesn't tend to correlate with GDP in one way or another. Sometimes GDP rises, sometimes GDP growth declines, but there isn't a consistent, compelling correlation with regards to the timing of the election cycle. And there wouldn't be if we look at red or blue who's sitting in the White House. So the very first kind of myth that we can dispel is that election years are somehow good or bad for the economy. Now, you might hear about election years and their correlation to stock prices, but again, I really want to separate stock prices from economic fundamentals because those two are not the same thing. Now, when we try to ascribe either credit or blame to one political party or another, it gets a little messy. You can look at the timing of GDP growth, the timing when a new president or a re-elected president comes into their term, and we'll start to see a little bit of mess here. If we even just did the most simplistic view of economic growth under each of these presidents, let's just say we count up the number of recessions that happened under a Republican president or a Democratic president, we get a couple of oddballs. The most recent major recession, COVID, who did we blame for COVID? It was a global pandemic. It wasn't due to anyone's policies, but that's why we saw that big dip in GDP. And furthermore, even if we do ascribe a so-called normal recession as blame for one president or another, so many of these recessions happen early in a new president's term. It's really tough to say that the wheels weren't already turning. So who gets the credit? Who gets the blame? The math is a little messier. But we here at ITR, even if we try to simplify that messy math, we have not found that one party does consistently better for the economy than the other. And in fact, if we look at something other than GDP, let's look to the overall industrial economy. So this dark blue line is our U.S. Industrial Production Index 1212 rate of change. And again, when we compare this to those election years, to those presidential terms, we just don't find any consistent and compelling correlation one way or the other. But where we do see great correlation is when we start to add in leading indicators. Now, unlike election years, those do give us a view as to what's coming next for the economy. Those do give us something to plan with. The light blue line on this slide, that's our proprietary ITR leading indicator, but we have over 10,000 leading indicators in our database. I'm sure there's one or another that works for almost every business, almost every sector of the economy from that 10,000 strong database. So I prefer to focus on the leading indicators. And I think Warren Buffett summed it up best when he said, red or blue, I can still make green. Follow the indicator evidence, don't follow the political noise, and stick with us here at ITR to do so. Thanks so much.